Well, to draw the lessons from the past, indeed, I think it's important to see what worked in the past and maybe, repeat it. However, the cohabitation, they worked because the personalities that were in place were really true political leaders. There was indeed under François Mitterrand, first cohabitation, but then there was with Jacques Chirac and Lionel Jospin, who was prime minister. But I do not believe that in Emmanuel Macron's mind, who felt that he was going to build this
at the
right.
time...
Hold on, I'm just finishing on that one. This big central right where the right and the left was going to, be working together and so on. It's not the French political culture. I understand the Germans do it, but that's the way they've always done it. And I do not believe that you change a political culture just like that. It just doesn't happen. And you're absolutely right that there is a kind of a short term, which is voting the budget. So we don't have time to kind of see, can we do away with the left, the right, and see that everybody is happy together in this big central block. It's just not working. It has been tried for the past 8 years, and it is not working.
What if you do like in Germany and you set it in stone with a platform that's written in writing?
But Emmanuel Macron has never indicated that he wanted to open to the left. I think he's fundamentally a right-wing person. He has not presented himself this way, but I think the policies that he has put in place for the past 8 years are fundamentally right-wing policies, and therefore is nominating right-wing people, with the rejection that we see now, both in the National Assembly, but also in the country. There is a kind of an anger, and I hope that it's not going to express itself in a violent way on the 10th and the 18th of September. The
10th is when there's this yellow vest style movement, and the 18th it's trade unions.
Well, it's starting on social networks. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, and that's what worries me most, because when the trade unions organize themselves, they have the security and everything is organized. They put, they ask the préfecture for the meetings and the marches that are taking place, but there it's very difficult to know who is going to march, where, when, and who is going to do it. And also, and we always know that, apart from those who march and are, there in good faith, there are those who come for other purposes.
So who...
fighting and breaking things.
So I'll ask you the same question that I asked to Shannon Sebon. Yeah. Who should Emmanuel Macron name as prime minister? What kind of a profile?
Well, somebody who is capable of putting the finances in order and who has the trust of the various parties. And I have some names in mind, people who could do the job. And I do not feel that today it is a problem of our institutions or the political parties or whatever. We're lacking political leaders like François Mitterrand, who was named earlier, Jacques Chirac.
So you want a political leader, not a technocrat?
Well, we have had technocrats. We have had top civil servants. I mean, Madame Borne is a pure example of that. Not to say that she didn't do the job that she was given, but it is not, how can I say it? Having been a minister myself and having worked with top civil servants, it's just two worlds that need to come together and get the perfect decisions and the good text. But if you just have the one who is supposed to be the other, it just doesn't work. Yeah, and it was 3.2% in 2017 when he came to power. So, I mean, but I've known him a long time. I think, being president for the past 8 years, he has been isolating himself more and more with just a very small group of people that he trusts. That's his way of, interacting with others. And also with the strong belief that he's right. And it's true that he understands quickly, that he has a powerful mind. But
so is that a problem
he listens, and then he wants to prove that he's the one who makes the decision. And that happened, if you remember, in 2017 when, with the Général de Villiers, who was kind of fired in front of everybody. That is his style. He needs to assert himself. Well, that was in 2017. And since then, I think we have had that problem of somebody, and that does it with every president, who is more and more isolated in the Élysée Palace. I mean, I don't know whether it's, the system or whatever. But what I want to say about the far right, just to come back on that, I mean, I truly believe that we cannot forget what our history is in Europe and in France. And to pretend today that because Madame Le Pen changed the name of her party when she couldn't change her own name, and I think if she could have had, she probably would have done it.
Of course.
I mean, we just need to know where they come from, what they stand for, and what is in their program. The political program is anti-European. Okay, we can reassure ourselves until, or in Italy it's not happening. She's not. But Madame Le Pen, I said the first thing she will do is to cut back on the European contribution of France. But where do we stand on the war in Ukraine? Where do we stand, within Europe when today we have this commercial war with the United States? I mean, and where do we stand with our, relationship with Russia? So, I mean, people are angry, and you're absolutely right in your analysis, the rise of the far right and the far left. But we need to ask the question, why are people moving to the extremes? It's because they do not feel that what is in place is actually giving them the answers they're waiting for or the life they're expecting to have. So they turn to those populists who promise on political programs that are okay when you're in opposition, but certainly are not to be put in place if they come to power. Because if France is doing badly today, on a financial point of view, with one or the other, they will be actually doing far worse.
All right.
Just thinking that Emmanuel Macron didn't succeed indeed from an economic point of view to lead the country where it should be today. But he had in mind to weaken the traditional political parties, the trade unions, anybody who had kind of, a place. I mean, and the Socialists and the Républicains were both weakened big time. His ambition was to think that if those Republican parties were to be weakened enough, they would actually be able to converge.
And he succeeded to a large extent. He did pension reform, he did rail reform.
That's why I'm saying that he succeeded. And in doing so, the extremes then grew, but without attracting those, indeed, that have these Republican values and want to defend them. So I do believe that the majority of French people are not in the extremes, that at the moment we're going through a political crisis. There's a lot of anger at what was promised, never delivered, or just the opposite being done to, what the French people kind of expected. But this is a political tension at the moment that doesn't have to translate itself in France falling into the hands of the extreme right. And I think if we did that, and I just finished a European tour, just because I'm working on a parliamentary report on which asks me to go and talk to our counterparts, our partners. They're extremely worried about us. And it's not the fact that we're changing our prime ministers. That happens in other countries. It's the fact that in 2027, they fear that the extreme right may indeed come to power.
Because it's a presidential system.
Not just a prime minister who, because the president is extremely powerful in France and will retain, until 2027, all the powers, okay? But having a prime minister, it's different from having an elected president. And if, Monsieur Bardella indeed will be maybe the candidate, if Madame Le Pen is not, if he came to power, it will be just a total change from a European perspective, the place of France in Europe and in the world, because they will just have a political agenda that will be totally different from what we have had so far. Whatever. Well, it's a continuum. The same policies till the end, no change. I know.
Is the outgoing armed forces minister someone you can do business with?
Well, I can certainly, because I have, I'm the rapporteur for the equipment of the French armed forces. So I do spend a lot of time with Sébastien Lecornu. From a personal point of view, is a good guy. He's extremely talented. He's very political. He's not technical. He's political, and that's a good thing. But I think it's bad news I think it's bad news, not because of his talents, and he has loads of them, because it's just a very strong signal that nothing will change until 2027. The same policies will be put in place, and it's going to be difficult. But I thought that President Macron liked Monsieur Le Cornu a bit better, because you appoint him the day before the 10th. I think it's not very good for him.